Coming up next
all
on
I
the
used to
Inherited
wonder was,
Podcast.
why don't women get along?
Mm.
Why do women always have to be fighting? Why is it that, like, for me, I was consistently hurt by women. At 7 years old, a girl, right? You know, growing up, my sister passed away. Like, it was just constantly, like, hurt from women. Every single day, society continues to put women in competition. No matter what we say, that's just what it is. Like, I just didn't understand it, and I'm like, this has to end. Like, it's gonna end with me in my environment, at the least. Let's bring women together and show women what unity looks like.
Yeah.
Show women what pure friendship really looks like. Like, it's so much competition, so much envy. Like, let's show women that no matter what, we in our own lane, but we gonna hold each other's hand and push each other through the journeys that we're going through. More than anything, starting a healing journey isn't easy, and you can't do it without God. And when I really started digging into my relationship with God, God began to align me with people that I needed. There were seasons that I felt so alone, and I'm like, why am I alone in this? Like, and that was another reason why I created the women's group community that I have, because I was like, I don't want another woman that going through this journey to feel alone. She gonna have this community. I wrote a letter to my hurt. So I'm like, I want to start from the beginning. Dear hurt, and I started from the very beginning, like, of my life. Everything that's ever hurt me, everything that's ever embarrassed me, made me feel less than, like, everything. I just wrote the whole letter. And so I looked at that letter and I was just like, you know, imagine how many women are feeling these ways.
Building a legacy, so watch how you step to me. You know it's inherited, ain't no comparison, stacking up guaranteed. Moving so militant, consistent and disciplined. Getting that paper and stacking it up, no time for no chillin', man. Building a legacy, so watch how you step to me. You know it's inherited, ain't no comparison, stacking up guaranteed. Moving so militant, consistent and disciplined. Getting that paper and stacking it up, no time for no chillin', man.
Yo, what's good? It's Sir Gates here now, tuned to the Inherited Podcast. Thank you guys for coming back once again, week after week. And as always, make sure I go to YouTube, Inherited Podcast, like, comment, subscribe, hit the notification bell. Make sure I leave a nice, dope comment. Also go to Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts. Do the same thing. Download, like, comment. 5-star reviews, or only 1 5-star reviews, and also a dope comment. So we're going to get right to today's episode. We have another guest today, Miss Marissa Hood, content creator and women's advocate. So we're going to get right into it. So how you doing, man?
I'm good. How you doing?
I'm good. You had a good day so far?
So far, so good.
Good. So look, when we pop it off, right, I'm going to do an icebreaker, okay? You don't look nervous, so but still, we're going to ask. So I'm going to ask you a question. You answer first, and I'm going to answer after you, right?
Okay.
So describe a turning point in your life that set you on your current path.
A turning point in my life that set me on my current path, honestly, was when I found out I was having a little girl.
That's a big one.
I just was like, okay, I looked at my life and I was like, is this something I want her to look up to? And it was so many no's. And so that was my turning point where I really sat down and was like, it's time to make a change.
Okay. What kind of changes you made, you think, from it?
I started with insecurities. Because I know that a lot of times as women, we can manifest our insecurities into our relationships, into our friendships. And so having a child, that's a relationship between the mother and the child.
Right.
And I never wanted to bring my, like, bitterness or my anger or any of my insecurities into my relationship with my daughter.
Okay. So that I'm pretty sure having anybody who have a kid, that's one of those pivotal moments where it's just like, you got to reassess everything that's going on because you're responsible for this little human. They have no say so and nothing. Is all up to you to make sure you raise them right, make sure they're around the right environments, the right emotional things and stuff like that. So I can understand that. But for myself, I would have to say as one when I went to the military, because before then it was of course I went to high school, went to college. College pretty much kind of wasn't for me, even though I did end up finishing college, but it was just I still wasn't sure as far as what I wanted to do. So when I did drop out, when I dropped out, I came back home to the city, started working at the airport. It was like making $7.25 an hour doing graveyard shifts. It was just horrible. So it was just at that point in my life to where, what am I going to do to change things? And it was just getting a corporate job, too young at the time. So it was just, hey, sign that dotted line and go to the service. But doing that, like I tell people, it was like the best, worst decision of my life. Because one, it grew me as a man, for sure. I learned a lot while I was in there, but some of the things you have to deal with while you're in there was just like, above me. It was just mind blowing. But I mean, it just taught me to always adapt to my environments and just be on the forward thinking progress in life. So joining the service was pretty much that was that pivotal moment that changed literally everything for me. And it actually is the reason why I'm able to do what I'm doing today post service. So that got me on the path I'm on today. So
that's good.
That's mine. Good. So yeah, all right. So look, so what I want to do, right, is get your backstory. So I want you to take us back to young Marissa, right? So just like how you grew up, family, parents, siblings, if you had any, just your childhood era and aura. 'Cause I still believe that we all have a past. Mm-hmm. We all may have dealt with any kind of traumas or whatnot like that. So just, and I feel that stuff there kind of grew us mentally and emotionally to where we're at today. So just take us back through then and going up through middle school, high school, college, if you attended this and that. So just from then until midway now. So how was that for you growing up and what was your life like?
Ooh, childhood.
Oh yeah, get into it.
Childhood was, okay, I'm going to start with my childhood growing up. We really didn't have anything, right? We had love. That was it. Like, me and my siblings, honestly, we built this bond where we're like, no matter what's going on around us, we going to stick together, we going to laugh, we going to have fun together. And that was something that me and my little brother, for sure, built together. But growing up, I grew up with just my mom. Her and my dad split when I was around 2. She moved back home with her mom, and we were in Alabama. And then when we went from Alabama to Ohio, things began to shift. I would say moving to Ohio shifted my life as a little girl that had an effect on my big girl life. You know, you grow up with a single mom, and most of the time when you have a single mom, you don't have a lot, right? We're living with people. Sometimes we're in the trunk getting school clothes at 6 a.m. in the morning, getting ready for school. Like, that was our life. Like, sometimes we had a home, but sometimes the light was out. We was warming up hot dogs with lighters, like all the things, right? When you grow up in poverty. And I was a little girl that always wanted to find the laughter in the moment. That was just always me. Like, me and my brother, we were so silly. Everybody else used to be like, y'all need to just be serious for once. Like, no, like, this is funny, you know? So me and my brother really created this really tight bond. So he was my safe space. And then I would say, honestly, growing up, seeing my mom struggle, seeing her depressed, seeing her always down, seeing her not having anything, at that little girl moment, it made me look and say, I will never be like this, right? I will never be in this situation, not downing her, but more so saying, like, whatever she went through that brought her here, I don't want to go through that, right? And so I just seen her make sacrifice after sacrifice. I mean, she would do everything for us first and wear the same outfit for 10 years straight. I promise you, I think I seen her in the same outfit for 10 years straight. But she always made sure we were good. So I definitely appreciate my mom because she really worked hard for us. But my turning point where I began as a little girl to have insecurities and my confidence kind of went down, which caused a lot of the trauma, was there was a church friend we had. My mom was very strict about us going to anybody's house, right? She was like, it was a no all the time. The boys, they was outside. Okay, the boys was outside. The girls, no, you got to stay home, right? And so it was this one lady that she did trust at church, and so we had a great relationship with her daughter. So it was fun to get away from home and be able to go with other, girls to enjoy our life. And so there was a moment that changed for me. In that moment was we spent the night and one of the girls touched me. And at that point, it was like, dang, is this what friends do? I never really experienced a sleepover with friends. I never experienced any of this. So I had so many questions and I'm like, do I tell someone? Like, is this like normal? Like, are people gonna think I'm crazy? All these voices in your head. And growing up, you would hear so many people, down the girls that come out and say, I was touched, whether it was by whoever. And then after I had this conversation with my mom older in my adult years, she's like, I taught y'all all the time to tell me if a man ever did anything to y'all. But I never thought a girl. I never thought a kid, right? And so that was the turning point for me. At that moment when that happened, I just didn't know who to talk to. My mom always had something going on. I had siblings and sisters, so I ended up talking to my second to oldest sister about it. She gave me great advice, but it was kind of like down the line. And so I was like, it's just too old to bring up, so I brushed it away. But as I grew older, I realized that it affected me more than I really thought. Like, it really did affect me. I was kind of like confused with my identity. Like, do I like girls or do I like boys? You know, like it was a thing. And I went through that journey growing up. And so I really found myself searching for love, like searching for love. And in that sense, it was always, I was like, I need a touch. I need, like, that was the love that I was looking for. I need someone to be romantic to me. I need someone to love me. And so I grew up and I held up this wall, which built a lot of anger. A lot of anger. Like, I was a person that loved really hard, but the moment I felt like someone turned their back on me, I'm looking for revenge. Like, that was how I was. So it was just so much anger and like just things just piling up as a woman, as a little girl, not even as a woman. I'm still a little girl at this point. How old were you at the time? I was 7 when this happened. Okay. I was 7 when that happened, but I brushed it under the rug. We moved away. No longer had to go to church and see this girl anymore. So we moved back where my dad is. This was another turning point for me. You go all these years. I think we moved back when I was in 6th grade. I go all these years and barely see this man, right? Like, I mean, we talk on the phone. We'll visit during summers, but normally during summers we stay with his mom. So we seen him, like, my brother was always with him, but me and my sister, it was almost like he was the dad that was like, I got the boys, you got the girls, right? And that's all he knew. Like, at that age, it's like, oh, I can't stay home. But when you grow up and you realize parents, they starting with what they know, right? Facts. So, you know, that's all he knew. So he's like, I can deal with the boys, but I can't deal with the girls, right? So we were always with his mom. And so finally this summer when we moved back to where he was, which is Kansas City, I literally was like, this is just new for me, right? Living with him, his wife, and his wife's children, and then they had a son together. And I was just like, okay, I thought I wanted a dad. I thought I wanted more siblings. I thought I wanted this, but this is not what I want, you know, because you grow up so long without them, and then you get around and it's not what you desired it to be. It's like, dang, I was better off without it, but really I wasn't. You know, I needed my dad in my life. But when we moved back to Kansas City, I seen so much from my stepmom and my mom into it. My dad, you know, it was just so much. And as a little girl, all I used to wonder was, why don't women get along? Why do women always have to be fighting? Why is it that, like, for me, I was consistently hurt by women. At 7 years old, a girl, right? You know, growing up, my sister passed away. Like, it was just constantly, like, hurt from women, right? Of course, my dad, he hurt me in a way for not being there and not being supportive and physically in my life. But I can't say that affected me until I moved there. I can't say it affected me with him being away. Like, it was just like life. Like, all the girls I knew, it was single parent homes. So it was like, this is life. I didn't really think about the fact that my dad wasn't there until we got him in our life. Door first front, we living with him, right? So I really realized that as a little girl, all of my hurt and trauma were coming from women. But that never made me turn my back on women. Like, I always had hope, like, women can have good friendships. Women can be happy. Like, I continue to have this hope, like, all women aren't depressed. All women aren't angry, because that's all I seen in my family, in my home. And I was just like, this cannot be my life. Like, I like to laugh. I like to have fun.
As you should.
And so as I continue to go through, you know, just life, I realized that there was nothing more that I needed than to really heal from those things that I continued to sweep under the rug. From 7 years old, to losing my brother, to watching my mom struggle, to my dad, losing my sister. When I lost my sister, we took in her 2 daughters. So that was an entire world change for us. And just seeing my mom continuously go through her. Like, when I tell you, I probably have never seen my mom just genuinely happy. Like, from the moment that I have been alert in life, she's always going through something, right? It was like I'm constantly seeing my mom hurting and going through something. And so in college, I lost my sister in 8th grade. When I lost my sister in 8th grade, another level of anger, right? So it's just like all these years, just anger. And I hear people say all the time, why Black women so angry, right? But it's like from a little age, majority of us are constantly experiencing trauma after trauma after trauma, hurt after hurt after hurt. And sometimes it's not even our own hurt and trauma. Sometimes just watching our mom go through what she's going through, that's trauma that's just placed on us, right? We might not be going through what our mom is going through, but the simple fact that I have to watch her go through this, I got to watch her cry through this, I got to watch her struggle through this, that's hurt placed right on our lap, right? And that's why I say that was the first thing I wanted to do was heal from my insecurities, because as a little girl, we as adults, we don't think that those little babies know, but they feel everything.
Every single
They know
drop, yes.
everything. So the moment you are a little girl, you see your mama crying, you see her struggling, you see her going through these things, you're just taking it in. So you got your own personal hurt, you got your mama hurt, you got the people around you hurt. So you just piling up on her.
Absorbing all that stuff,
just, you know, and it's like your mind is just wandering, like, and so I literally went through that transition when my sister passed away. It was very hurtful because that was the sister that I was really close to. That was a sister that I could call about anything. I went to visit her during summer breaks when she was in college. Like, that was my girl. Like, that was almost like my second mom.
Yeah.
So losing her was a very strong turning point for me. And at that point, I was like, well, maybe, like, I didn't value relationship with women anymore. Because I was like, okay, if I'm in relationship with women, it's always something. Like,
you feel something's going to happen no matter what.
I'm either going to lose her or
Yeah.
she's going to touch me or, you know, just all these thoughts. So I stopped valuing friendship with women. Stopped valuing it. Like, if I find a friend, cool. When the end, whatever, it's ending, right? I didn't care. It was like, if I get it, I get it. If I don't, I don't, you know? So I ran track. I was around girls all the time. But it was always drama because it's a bunch of us little girls. And we all have our own traumas, our own things going on at home. And it's on us, right? So we're trying to have friendship and no one really knows what friendship is. No one really knows, like, what treating sisterhood looks like.
Yeah.
So it's just like, when you see all these things with girls into it, fighting over this person, like, it's all our own traumas just all together, just fighting with each other, right? And then you got to think about the world. I just seen this post the other day and it really, like, made me, like, just roll my eyes and turn Instagram off. It was like, I don't want to, Ice Spice and Meg Thee Stallion and another woman, some music industry people, right? And so the question was, which one has to go? Which one will you marry? Something like that.
I know what you're talking. I think it was Ice Spice, Meg Thee Stallion, Ruby Rose, and it was somebody else. I know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
I seen the same post. Yeah.
And I'm just like, every single day, society continues to put women in competition. No matter what we say, that's just what it is. Like, I just didn't understand it. And I'm like, this has to end. Like, it's going to end with me in my environment at the least, right?
glad to hear that.
And so when I found out I was pregnant with my daughter, that's what I wanted to start with. I wanted to start with a healing journey. And that's when I was like, okay, let's write down all your insecurities. I wrote down all my insecurities. I had acne I was insecure about. I had all these different insecurities. Like, you know, you end up dating guys and you get cheated on. You get left for someone else. Like, all these things women go through, it just piles up in insecurities. And now we have low self-esteem. We don't have that much confidence. Now we're fighting with each other. Now we're angry. We're bitter. You say, why are Black women always angry? Just think of the list of things that a Black woman can write under insecurities. Right? And I'm not saying no other race has these problems, but I'm just focused on a Black woman because that's who I am, right? So you write all these insecurities down, and I'm just looking at this page like, oh my gosh, where do I start? Right? And so at that moment, I realized that I couldn't have the healing journey without God. And that's when I was like, I got to get back in my relationship with God. Like, I had ran from God. When my sister passed away, I was just like, I can't do this no more. Like, it's always something. Where are you? Like, my mama, she raised us in church. No matter what we went through, we was in church, right? But it was just like, I never built a relationship for myself with God. I was just going to church because my mama made me, right?
As we all kind of pretty much did, yeah.
So in college, I began to, like, really want to know God for myself. Like, I began to go to church on my own and just really dive deeply for myself. Like, let me get an understanding of this thing for myself. And so when I wrote this list and I start looking at all my insecurities, and not even just insecurities, traumas, things that hurt me, just all these things, I realized that I had to start somewhere. And I was like, let me just choose one thing, because this list is a lot. Like, I don't think I can heal from all this today.
It's a process, though.
It's a process. And when you think of a healing journey, a lot of people, we want to make it sound like self-love, self-care, healing journey. It sounds so sweet and cute, but it's not. Like, it's a roller coaster. Some days are great, some days are darker.
I can't agree.
And so when I got pregnant with my first daughter, I wrote that list. And then I said, I'm going to start with a healing journey and I'm going to start healing my insecurities. And I wrote a letter to my hurt. So I'm like, I want to start from the beginning. Dear hurt. And I started from the very beginning, like, of my life. Everything that's ever hurt me, everything that's ever embarrassed me, made me feel less than, like, everything. I just wrote the whole letter. And so I looked at that letter and I was just like, you know, imagine how many women are feeling these ways. Like, there's no way I'm in this alone. There's so many more women in this world feeling hurt, abused, rejected, less than, like all these things, unworthy. And after I wrote that letter, I was like, I'm going to start this journey. And I had begun to just like show small parts of it on social media. Like on my story, I talked about how I wrote my letter to her. I started talking about this journey, and then I started seeing so many women engage with me on it. And that's what made me create a group chat. And when I created this group chat at the time, I was just sending in journal prompts. Like, here's the journal for the day. And we will all do our own journal. Then it turned into Zoom calls where we would have conversations about self-love and healing. And it just became a community. And in that moment, I started realizing that every woman needs a sisterhood.
Yeah.
Right? Like, we'll say, I don't need no friends. I got my same friend from kindergarten. Like, you grow apart, right? Like, all my friends that I had when I was way younger, we all have grown apart. We all are doing our own thing. We love each other. We speak when we see each other. But those relationships sometimes grow apart. Some people can grow together. But a lot of times you grow apart. Like, I've met friends in every stage of my life, and I love them all, right? But the friends that I can literally do everything with are the girls that I've recently met because I'm the better version of me, right? The friends that I had in middle school were probably the worst version of me, right?
You was going through so much back then,
So it's like, how can I even relate to that Marissa anymore? Like, I remember her. I reach back to her. I reach back and love her. I reach back and nurture her. But how can I even live the life that she lived if I want to become the woman that God created me to be? And so as I continue to heal and I continue to go through this journey and I continue to bring women in and have these discussions and speaking on these things, I realized how many of us are literally, it's just a world full of walking hurt, right? Like, that's all it is. And like, if we just continue to heal, imagine how much more, just starting small, the world could change, right? A lot of decisions we make, a lot of actions, all the things that's happening is because it's somebody that is hurting, right? And so I just made a decision that I was letting go of anything that no longer served me. So if it was a friendship, if it was a relationship, if it was anything that no longer served the Marissa that I was desiring to be, I began to let it go. And more than anything, starting a healing journey isn't easy, and you can't do it without God. And when I really started digging into my relationship with God, God began to align me with people that I needed. There were seasons that I felt so alone. And I'm like, why am I alone in this? Like, and that was another reason why I created the women's group community that I have. Because I was like, I don't want another woman that going through this journey to feel alone. She gonna have this community, right? And so that was just something that really sparked my eye. And when God gave me that dream that I was gonna have this community. And then he told me I was gonna have these women to work with. And I'm like, where they at? Where they at? Oh, for the past 4 years, I'm like, where they at? I've constantly, tried friends like, okay, come, like, let's collab and let's do this together. It didn't work out. Disappointment, right? And so I realized that I can't be disappointed. That's just not who God handpicked for this journey with me, right? And so literally recently, God gave me all 5 women that I need to take this tribe to the next level. And we are launching March 1st. And I'm super excited because it's multiple women coming together. Because I always knew from the very beginning when I started this group chat of women, I knew I couldn't do it on my own. I'm like, there's so many different stories out here. There's going to be a group of people who can relate to me, but there's going to be a group of people who can relate to her. So I'm like, I don't want to do this on my own, right? Let's bring women together and show women what unity looks like. Show women what pure friendship really looks like. Like, it's so much competition, so much envy. Like, let's show women that no matter what, we in our own lane, but we're going to hold each other's hand and push each other through the journeys that we're going through. And so that's literally what brought me here. Just my life, just going through all the things that I went through and things that I seen. Like, looking at my mom, I'm like, where were your friends? When you was going through this, where was my mom's friends? Where, look, you have cousins. Where were they? Like, why did you not have help when we were going through this? Why were there not people stepping in when your daughter passed away and you took in your 2 grandchildren? Why was your family not stepping in and helping you? No matter what y'all past look like, y'all family. Women have to lean on each other, but there's so much envy and competition. And again, society puts it in front of our face every single day. And they constantly put us in it, right? And it's always, like, I had seen a lot of people talking about how women, we change our body for competition with each other, and it's less about the man, right? It's both, of course. But I just realized that it's more than anything, so many of us are hurting from opinions that have been said to us. Oh, look at your mouth, or look at your teeth, or look at your eyes, or look at your ears. Oh my God, your hair. Oh my God, you are so skinny. Like all these things that are constantly said to us as women since we're little girls. And we're like, I gotta change that. Everybody keep talking about that. I gotta change that. I need to fix that. And we're constantly trying to fix ourselves and realize like, okay, every time I fix something, I still feel the same inside.
You can find something else you need to fix.
You're going to find something else that you need to fix because it's never going to fill those voids. You got to heal. You got to forgive yourself. You got to forgive your mama. You got to forgive your daddy, your siblings.
Just about to ask
you got to forgive the people that hurt you. You got to ask God to wipe out those thoughts and those voices that put in your head that you were not worthy, put in your head you were ugly or you were too skinny or you were too fat. You got to literally ask God, look, God, these voices are haunting me and they're taking over who I'm supposed to be. Can you please help me erase these thoughts? And even if you can't erase the thoughts, help me overcome the thoughts. Yeah. Right? Like sometimes we can't erase what someone said to us. We can't erase something that happened in our life. We're going to think about it. It's going to come up. But God, if it comes up, help me not to feel this way that I'm feeling, you know? So that was really like my journey because it was like I had to forgive. I had to forgive my mom. I felt like she had so much going on that she never really sat down and understood what her children were really going through in their individual worlds. But she was always sacrificing. I could never take that from her. Like she always made sure we had a roof. Like no matter what kind of roof it was, we had a roof. We had somewhere to go. And she really showed her love, tough love. And that's what we had a conversation with her about. Like, we know that you loved us. You provided, you know, the best that you could. You made the sacrifices. But each of my siblings, I know that one thing that we were missing was that soft love, that motherly love, because she couldn't really give it. She had to be
providing.
She had to be the man, right? She had to be the man of the house. And we say so much like, you know, why is it that Black women are so independent, or we all these things? Imagine all the roles my mom had to be. Yeah, she had to be the protector. I remember someone broke into our house. We lived in Trevitt in Ohio. And someone broke into our house. My mom was at Bible study and we were all at home sleeping. My oldest sister, she slept downstairs, and so she heard it, and so she got up. She called my mom and the police to let her know that someone broke in. And so we're upstairs sleeping. My cousin was with my mom, and he was like, your mom ran through every red light. So imagine if there was a man in that house. Yeah. Imagine, first of all, if there was a man in the house, he probably wouldn't have had us in that neighborhood, right? So it's just like, imagine how many roles single moms have to pull. Like my mom said all the time, I couldn't be soft. I couldn't be as nurturing as y'all would have liked.
All that vulnerability.
I had to keep the house solid. I had to be the rock for y'all. How could I be both? You know? And so it made some more sense now that I'm older. But then it's like, dang, like mama don't really hug us. She don't really kiss us. Like, we needed that love, and that was something that we were missing. And so I really believe, like, as women, we have to really speak up, like, I need help. And you need that safe space. A lot of people don't speak up because they don't feel safe. My mom said it, like, you know, I wish I had someone to talk to. I wish I had someone to cry to, but I didn't feel safe. People were judging me. My aunties were judging me. Her kids were judging me. Like, she didn't feel safe. She didn't have that safe space that's like, you know what? I know that some of the things that you're going through is because of the decisions you made, but I'm here for you. Yeah. A lot of women don't have that type of friendships, and they don't have that type of community. We're so busy trying to win over each other and compete with each other and show each other, I got them. I got it, you know? So I really believe, like, forgiving people and saying, like, you know what, you might have been this person then. I look at people as energies, right? So, like, if someone has done something to me, I'm like, that's who you were at that moment. That was the energy you had on your life at that moment. You could change, you know? And it's hard to look at it like that sometimes. But as you grow, you'll see, like, people can change. People can change for the better. Some people are who they are because of what they've been through, you know? So I try not to hold the grudge. So I was like, I got to heal. And in order for me to heal, I got to begin to forgive the people that hurt me, the things that were said to me. Because a lot of things that I was insecure about was more so about what people said than what I really felt about me. Yeah. You know? And that's a lot of things that us women were like, dang, this is what an ideal baddie looks like. How do I look like this ideal baddie? Okay, I need to get the 30 inches. Yeah. I need to get the long, glossed out nails. I need to get this big butt. You know, all these outside things that we think need to change us to become a baddie. But I realized that really being a baddie, really being a beautiful woman is within. It's totally within. I just recently cut my hair. And my husband, he likes my natural, thick, long hair, right? So I recently cut it, and a lot of people were asking me, like, what does he think? Like, what is he going to say when he find out you cut your hair? And I had to realize that I did it for me.
Yeah.
Right? I said, my hair was damaged. Right? My hair was so damaged. I had colored it. I was cutting it on my own. It was so many different lengths. My mom helped me cut it off because she's a beautician. So she cut it off and she got me right? And so I've been looking in the mirror lately and I'm like, this is the juiciest I've ever seen my curls in a long time. So a lot of times we're so afraid to cut off what's damaged, to cut off what's baggage, to really cut off what's not good for us so it can grow out better. Like now the outcome is like, even if he didn't like the fact that I cut my hair, he probably looking like, dang, that's the healthiest I done seen her hair. So a lot of times we have to cut off what's no longer good for us, what no longer serves us, so that we can grow into the thing or the person that God needs us to be. And that's literally what I started doing. I was just like, I got to cut it. I was smoking, I got to cut it. I was drinking, I got to cut it. I was talking about people, I got to cut it. No, I can't pick up no more phone calls that's going to lead to gossiping. It got to go, right? If I know that I'm going to the club and by Sunday morning I can't get up and go see the Father who is taking care of me, keeping me going, gotta cut it. Like I began to cut so many things off that was making me the person that I did not want to be. And I began to evolve by making those sacrifices. Like I can't do it no more, right? So that's really like, that's a glimpse because it's so much more.
It's deep, but it's from all you said, right? Just hearing when your parents got divorced and split up. You experienced death in your family. You experienced being touched as a young girl, one by a female, then from somebody, I think you said her mom was in the church, right? So somebody who was in the church where you would think like, this can't possibly happen for somebody in this background.
Right.
You've been through so much to where for you to even get to a point to say, I want to heal from this, all that's mental trauma, physical trauma, emotional trauma. For a lot of people, that would probably take them out. Not saying like suicide or anything, but just like, this is who I am, this is what I'm dealing with, this is my life, and I'm just gonna continue to navigate through life in this area, right? But it seems as if when you said, I want to just go on this self-healing, this self-help journey, grace and forgiveness was a big part of that, right?
Yes.
So, and as you also said, like growing up, you had to look back like, okay, my dude, she was doing what she had to do. Because it's also crazy to know you're a female, I'm a male. But on the flip side, I experienced some of that same stuff as far as, but I had both parents in the household, but I tell people all the time, sometimes I don't mean anything at all, right? Because I didn't get the emotional support, the soft love, because we were struggling, lights off, gas off, no plumbing. So it was like our parents were just so much for us. How can we survive? How can we get the next dollar? Versus like, mode. How are you doing today? Why did this make you feel this and that way? So we just grew up in the mindset of we got to know how to survive now. And because of that, I had lacked the emotional things I needed as a man, one, to express to either other males or to a female partner that I was intimate with or some stuff like that. So, but I had to know that when I got older, when I got bills and responsibilities and this and that, I'm like, man, there ain't no telling what my parents was going through back then. Like, even though some parents may not care at all and they are just horrible parents, but they're probably actually trying the best as they could to provide for you. But as a child, because you're just so free-minded, free-spirited, you just think like, I'm supposed to have all this right now, right here in this moment. Which as your parents is like, look, man, only if y'all knew what's going on behind these closed doors. I remember
my dad told me, he said, Marissa, I was making $13 an hour. Yeah. And y'all wanted me to take care of 6 kids, you know? And then you also look at people around you. We were looking at our cousins, but I realized that my cousins were both of my cousins that I felt like had everything. They were both only childs. One child. Yeah. My mom had 6 kids. My dad had 3 of his own, but he had 2 bonus children. Well, 4 of his own and 2 bonus children. So it's just like, we always looking on the outside. Yeah. And then as a kid, and of course it's harder to tell a kid this, if we would have just focused on our home, in those doors and those walls, we would have realized, okay, if mama and daddy just get on the same page and say, okay, we know this child is graduating this year, let's work for the next couple years to make sure she has a car, to make sure she has some type of savings account that she can take to college with her. Or, you know, because like it's time, like, you know, okay, this child graduated this year, there's time you can take your time. And of course, emergencies happen. So a lot of times, like I know my mom, she tried to build so many savings for us, but emergency happened, she had to dig in it, right? So it's just like battling that. It's just surviving. You're in survival mode. When did you ever get out of survival mode to be able to say, you know, even if an emergency happened, I don't got to touch that, you know? And it's really hard because that's what you got to touch.
That's all you know.
That's all you got, you know? So I even told my mom and dad, now that I'm a parent myself, I realized a lot of the things that we were complaining about as kids, like they were really just doing the best that they had. Not even just the best that they had, the best they knew how. Our parents didn't know how to sit down and have a mental health conversation.
Facts.
You just respect the adult. What an adult say is what goes. And what happened in this house, stay in this house. That was it. Like, now I know my mom, she was looking at me crazy because my daughter, she's 5 now. So she's so vocal. And she's very vocal about her emotions. Like, she'll tell you if you made her angry, all of that. And so I know, like, the older generation in our family probably look at us crazy that we allow that. Yeah. But I want that for her because there's times that I felt so alone. I felt so angry. I felt so lost. And I just wish I could have went and sat on my mom's bed and said, and I could have, you know, of course you could have, but we didn't because we didn't want the response that we were going to get, right? And so I just I wish I had that relationship when I was going through things mentally, when I was going through things with different relationships, friendships. I wish I could have just sat down and said, Mama, I'm angry. This person did this to me, right? But we just never had that mental health relationship where those type of conversations were being had. So I'm very I tell my daughter all the time, if it's something you don't like, something you want to talk about, you tell me, right? And we have these conversations. And so now she's in a habit where she's like, Mommy, sit down. Or she'd be like, Daddy, sit down. And she just tells us what happened at school. The story can be 5 seconds long, but she took 10 minutes to tell it. And we act very interested. So we let her know, even if she's talking about Disney Channel, we're invested in her conversation because we want her to know her voice is valid and whatever she's saying matters, you know? So it's just those small things, even with my mom, I know growing up, it was okay, get your homework done, go take a shower, get into bed. It was a cycle, right? We sat down and we ate dinner together, and that's when we were supposed to talk. But I mean, how much talking can you do while you're eating, right? My mom always used to say, that was our time to talk. But I'm I'm chewing, you know, we was talking, but we're
Food, good,
we ain't
thinking
thinking about what bad happened at school today. I'm thinking about what bad happened at school when I go back to take a shower. Yeah. When I go put my pajamas on, now I'm laying down, I'm not doing nothing, my mind is empty, so I can think. You know, when I'm actively with my family and doing stuff, I don't think about the bad stuff. Yeah. It's when I go alone. It's when I'm in the shower, when I'm in the bathroom by myself. And that's what parents, we have to think about those moments. So when our daughter is done playing, she's done eating, she's showered, she put her pajamas on, that is always the time that she sits us down to talk.
That's good.
And that's literally as a parent, those are the things that we pay attention to. When they're playing, they're not worried about telling us what happened. Think about the times when your teenager is just sitting back in her room, door shut, ain't came out in hours.
Those
are the moments where we're overthinking. Those are the moments we're crying our eyes out because our 8th grade boyfriend left us. Those are the moments that those things are building up for us. And that's where we need that parent to be present.
And it's that communication is needed. I think that's where, like you said, our parents, they lack. It's all about that communication, right? But I feel as our generation, we're kind of excelling in those areas nowadays because we're more aware of mental health, what it really is and what it looks like, because we're taking the initiative to heal from some of our traumas. But I had a guest on a while ago, and she was just saying, as far as because she does therapy for young kids or whatnot, and a lot of those kids will come in and just say, you know, they don't have the space to speak at home, or if they do speak, of course, it's just pushed away as if it's you're a child, what are you talking about, and this and that. But just as far as we have to learn the communication of the language to use with our kids to make them understand, I get what you're going through. I understand that I've been through it, but let me try to talk to you in a way to where you can take this with you every day or go back to school and know how to deal with X, Y, and Z. Because just imagine, as a parent, you got so much going on and you kind of ignoring your kid, and because, say, if you got to take them to the school in the morning, but you're running late because you're late for work. So now you drop them off, and with the attitude, how is that kid going to act at school? You set the tone for that day. But once they get in trouble, why are you doing this and that? But you got to think about it. You're the adult in this situation. This kid is a child. Their mind is just so imaginative and this and that. They really don't know. So we just got to, I don't have kids, but I know once God blessed me with them, we just got to do better in that communication era where we're still human no matter what your age is. And to know ourselves, we dealt with trauma as a child. We would be a fool to not acknowledge our kids. And even if they don't express it, it's you know what you've been through behind closed doors. So you really think that
your child not going through that?
Yeah, why would you just, especially if we're starting the healing journey in our generation. I know my family it's always just been, of course, a survival stuff. So it's like nobody took the initiative to say, hey, let me go to counseling. Let me heal this and that. So that generational trauma is still here. But I know for myself, going to counseling was the best thing I could ever know for myself in life. But it's just having that person who you can speak to and they're not being biased to a certain person in the family or this and that. It's just happening. Then also, they ask you the questions that you need to hear in order for you to trigger that thought of like, oh, okay. Because
now
if you're not, if you're not talking to nobody about it, and then I know God said one of the best ways to heal is through conversation and talk about it. If you're holding all that stuff in,
it's just eating you alive.
For years,
and a lot of people don't realize even sickness comes from all the things that we're holding in. Like I know when I was going through that, I always had a sore throat. And it was just because the reason why I realized is because I was holding so much in that my voice really wanted to get out. And so a lot of people don't realize all that trauma and that baggage you hold in your body. That's why you don't have no energy. That's why you always sick. That's why you always got a headache. Like your head got all this stuff just piled up in there.
Mine is on overload.
Release it. Release it. I always use the analogy of like your iPhone. When you have too many pictures, too many messages, what does it say? Too much, storage full. You got to delete some stuff, right? And so I realized that it was a moment where my mind, my heart, everything was so full, and I had to start deleting some stuff, right? I had to start taking that thing one by one and bringing it out of me, because if not, you're so filled that even good stuff can't get in, right? So you're so filled with your trauma. You're so filled with everything, your thoughts, all those things that you meet a good person. You can't even allow that person in because you have no space.
Facts.
Like you have to make room for the good to come in. If you want your life to change and you're hurting, there's things going on, there's trauma, all these things. In order for you to allow a good relationship, a good friendship, a good opportunity to come in and really manifest itself, because sometimes we're hurting and we have all this trauma and that person is there or that opportunity is there, but it's not really manifesting the way that we want it to. We have to allow space. We got to make room. We got to start deleting the things that are holding us back. So in order for those things to really come in and manifest and just really making room for the good things to happen in your life. Because now I'm like, my life isn't perfect, but one thing that I know that I have is God on my side, and I have a safe space. So that's how I'm able to talk. That's how I'm able to do all the things that I am. Because the moment I set that foundation, when I started that healing journey, I said, these are the boundaries. We're sticking to them. This is my foundation, God. We're sticking to it, right? And so I continue to grow with that mindset. And so every year is elevation, right? And so the more that you grow, you just look back. And even though you've been hurt by things, it doesn't mean that when you start your healing journey, you're going to be done hurting by it, right? I tell people all the time, I realized when I started my healing journey, it's not that the hurt just goes away. I learned how to overcome the hurt. I learned how to look at it and say, what did I learn from this? How can I get myself in a position to never have to go through this again?
And prevent one of your kids from going.
But the triggers are still going to be there. Like I tell you all the time, like the triggers are there. It's all about how you respond to them. When I was hurting and I got triggered, I responded in a very outlandish way. I'm going off. I'm ready to pop off. I'm going to cuss you out. We're going to fight. Like all these things, right?
Scrappy with it.
Okay. And so as you heal, you respond differently. When those triggers come, you realize, okay, this person is triggering me. I've talked to them about it. They're still doing it. It's time to just let you walk on out, right? I have to love you from a distance because you're triggering me and you're triggering me, but yet you keep doing it, right? And so also I realized that taking things personally can literally take you out, right? I've learned I don't take nothing personally. Even if it's personal. Even if the person is in front of me making it super personal, I take nothing personally. That's between you and God. Right? Like I look at myself in the mirror. I know. I look at myself in the mirror and I say, where could you have been better or different in this situation? But I never take other people's actions and words towards me personally, because that's how you build up the insecurities. That's how your confidence go from here to here. Think about it. Toddlers, they have the most confidence. If my baby was in here right now, she'll be over there on his lap. She'll be touching the camera. She doesn't care. She's so fearless. Like she's in her own zone. It's going to take that one person to knock her confidence down. And it's up to me and her dad to continue to build it up so much that when she get in the world, no matter what they try,
is so tough.
She is not going to knock her down, right? And I tell people that all the time, it starts at home. I don't care what nobody say. It starts at home because your child is spending 8 hours out the day at school. So you don't know what happened at first period. You don't know what happened in the hallways. You don't know what happened in the bathroom. You don't know what happened. But when you set that tone at home, you're going to know everything. You're not going to have to pull it out of your child. Once you get in like middle and high school, you no longer want to talk to your parents if you don't already have that safe space.
Facts.
Like my mom asks me all the time, like, why you didn't tell me? Why? That safe space was gone. And I tell their dad, because like their dad, he's a great provider, and that's his focus, like protection and providing for us. And I told him, I said, how can I help create a space where you're protecting and providing, but yet you're still building that bond with them? Yeah. Because I want them to know that daddy's going to protect and provide, but I also want them to know that if something is going on, I can come sit and talk to my daddy and tell him. I don't want it to just be mama, right? And so just with that, having girls has taught me so much. Like I tell people all the time, my first child taught me maturity and forgiveness. My second child is teaching me unstoppable faith. Yeah. Unstoppable fearlessness. Like that girl is fearless. Like she just got stitches on the top of her eye. She just turned 2. That's whose birthday party is today. She got stitches on the top of her eye. And do you think she stopped doing what she did to get those stitches? She doesn't care. She's going to keep going. If she wants something, she's going to get it. Yeah. And she's teaching me that, like, I'm soaking at it. And that's what a lot of parents don't realize. Like, God give you each child for a reason. As a parent, if you just sit back and look at all of your children and you say, what can I learn from each of these babies? You will be like, oh my gosh. God is trying to save your life. Like, he taught me, if you don't get mature and start forgiving people, your life is going to go real bad with that first kid. Then when Lena came, he's like, you got to be fearless. Have the faith. You see how far I've brought you. Facts. You have to have the faith and stop letting fear stop you. You see this little girl running around his backyard? She'll climb the fence and go in the woods if you let her. You know, like, so I'm really learning from I study my kids because I know that God placed them in my life for a reason, and I want to know what that reason is. That's a great So it's like I study them. I know this one is emotional. She like hugs. She like cuddles. She want that intimate talk. My baby right now, don't kiss her without permission. She gonna go off. So I'm learning them. I study my kids because I know that I can learn from them. That perspective is great, just knowing that you realize that I can learn from my kids and not they're just children. Like, I'm a whole adult over here. These just kids. But another important thing you said, like I tell my friends all the time, right? It's like, well, if you do have a relationship with God and you're on that walk with God, right? Just leaning on that faith during the wait, that's one of the toughest parts, one of the most important parts. Yes. Because it's like, are you really going to sit back and believe like he got you? Or are you going to sit here and just stress? So having that faith while you're waiting is pretty much is key to knowing he's gonna come through. And once he does come through, you're gonna build a relationship with him stronger to know, okay, Pops, God, he got me. You know, I'm not gonna be without. And I always say as well, for instance, me and you sitting here talking, right? And with all you've been through, it's just a testimony to say we've made it through everything that came our way, every piece of adversity, every piece of trauma, ups and downs. We're here, so why would we not continue to be kept through the rest of our lives? Exactly. Like, because so much that we've been through could have taken us out. And he just gonna lift his hand off now?
Right. Oh, just that. Oh, now that we all grown up, that's it. No. So leaning on that and just knowing that it's like every day, of course you're gonna have your worldly stress and stuff, but it should be a breeze mentally and spiritually, knowing like, I'm going through this right now. Like I said, what can I learn from it? How can I fix myself and be accountable for myself and get better and continue to know that it's going to be okay.
Self-correction changed my life.
Yes.
Self-correction changed my life. Like, I was, but my mama, but my daddy, but this person did this. You know, it's valid. Yeah. They might have did it. But when are you going to look in the mirror and say, but I did this, or I did not do this. Like, I stopped looking at what people did to me, and I'm like, okay, we're going to focus on Marissa. If Marissa want to heal, she can't keep thinking about this. Facts. She can't keep thinking about her daddy. She can't. What is Marissa going to do to heal and change her life? That's beautiful, I can't keep blaming. Like, my parents released me in 2016. I graduated from high school, went to college. We in 2024. If I'm still blaming my parents and they released me in 2016 to my own world, we got a problem. Yep. I can no longer blame my parents for my life anymore. It's up to me to change it. Okay, yes, they had an effect on my life upcoming, and they still got effects on it now, but I'm not going to blame them. Yeah. They did what they could up till 2016. I graduated. Everything from that point was up to me. On you. Yeah. Until this day, it's up to me. It's up to me to make the decisions to change my life every single day. I can't keep staying in the funk, staying depressed, because Lil Sean broke up with me in 4th grade and hurt my feelings. Because Lil JJ in high school, he used me for one thing. Like, I can't keep leaning on all these things that happened in my life and continue to allow those to be the blame. And a lot of us just don't like accountability.
That's the biggest thing. Like, for instance, my brand Inherited and by Taylor Grants, right? The slogan is it starts with you. Because my philosophy, I feel like no matter what you've been through, no matter what your parents did, what they said to you, what they done to you, at this point in your life now where you're conscious enough to know what progression looks like, what healing looks like, it starts with you to change the trajectory of your whole bloodline. Yeah. You can no longer blame anybody else for what's going on. Yes, it happened. It's not going away, but that should not be hindering you to a certain extent in this point in your life as an adult. Like you're mentally capable to know I can make these steps, A, B, C, D, E, F, G, to get me to this place in life. So stop blaming people or just for your and living in your sorrow. Like get up out of that and say, hey, I want better for myself and go chase it, right? But what I do want to ask you real quick, right? And it's kind of a 3-part question. So, but this is just for, everybody can relate, but for the women specifically, right? So what is and what does it look like self-love and self-healing, and what steps can women take to, I guess, progress in those areas? And also kind of like what you have done, but what can they specifically take to say, hey, I can acknowledge what self-love and what self-healing is, and these are some things I can do to help me get forward and progress in my life. Like for someone who may be hurt or going through something, or just even to the biggest extent or to the minimal extent.
Right. Okay. So I'm going to go with like steps that you can take. If you're sitting in a space right now, you feel like you're in a dark place, you're stagnant, things from your past are still affecting you, the first thing you have to do is recognize that you need healing. Because a lot of times people don't even realize that they're in a space that's just not healthy. Yeah. So once you recognize it, and you can do it in your own way, write a letter. So you can list all the things that hurt you. Because sometimes we focus on one thing or one person. We don't realize that there's so many other factors to it of why we even ended up in this place. Like I realized all my relationships, they all were a trickle effect. Like it all came from trauma. Like who I aligned and attracted in relationships came from my trauma, right? So if I'm missing this piece from my father and this guy, I feel like he's filling that void. That's what attracted me to him. He may have not been good for me, but it was something about him that filled this void, or at least made the void feel good, right? So figuring out that whole timeline of what's hurt you, like even down back to when I was a kid, when I started getting acne, like that started at like 6th grade, but it affected me in 12th grade, right? So it's like going back and really writing those things down that are hurting you. What is affecting your mind? Who said something to you that hurt you? Who said something that embarrassed you? Who made you want to change who you are? Like, what are all the things that are hurting you? You have to acknowledge those things so then you can look at it and say, dang, I really need to start with changing my attitude. I really need to let some anger go. Like, I'm super angry. I get defensive so fast. I lash out. I want revenge. Like, all these things that you realize, okay, I know my traumas. Now I know what each trauma caused me to do. Characteristic, right? Attitude is a characteristic. Being angry is like all these characteristic traits that I have that I no longer want is tied to a trauma, right? So when I write that letter, I look at it and I say, okay, I got to start somewhere. I can't start on everything today. Yeah. But I got to start somewhere. So once I realized that I wanted to start with insecurities, I said, okay, so what are the insecurities? Acne, okay. What can we do to heal your acne? Let's get a skincare routine. Let's eat better. Let's drink more water. Let's go work out so you can release some stress. Those are things that I can start with, right? And so as I begin to see my skin, I said chin. Part of it. As I begin to see my skin transition, I'm like, wow, like I love what this looks like, but I still feel this inside. Yeah. So I've changed the insecurity, but I still feel what I feel inside. I still feel insecure, right? So now I'm like, okay, well, I fixed the insecurity, which was my skin, but that void is still there. Okay. What is causing it? Okay, maybe the fact that I felt like I was so beautiful, but this certain person made me feel like they left me because my beauty wasn't worth it, right? So just really realizing that there's so much, like it's so much that you can just go back to, but just start with something. So you heal from one thing and you start realizing that you're healing and you're progressing, you're going to want to continue to do that. Yeah. That it feels good. Like for me to look back and say, dang, like I really hated my skin. Now I can go makeupless or I can go with makeup. But to just know that I love that part of me now, and it's not I start loving it when it got better. I began to fall in love with the flaw. So I used to wear makeup all the time, cover my face all the time. And my friend was like, girl, like stop doing that because you can still see the acne through the makeup. Like it's just changing the color, but the bumps are there, right? And so I realized, like, you know what? I'm going to stop wearing makeup. I stopped wearing makeup, and I really started digging into loving my flaws. Like, I'm going to be Marissa, and I'm going to fully love her with the flaws. Because if I love me with the flaws, when they heal, my confidence is going to be in the sky. And if they come back, I still can be me because I've learned to love me with the flaw. If you only love yourself when you're good, you don't really love you, because what happens when you fall? We gonna fall sometimes. You gonna get a pimple one day. Like, it don't just go away. You gonna get another one. So if you didn't learn to love yourself with the flaws, how can you love yourself when everything is good? Because everything don't stay good all the time. Like, you gonna fall off. You gonna have that time of the month where that pimple come back, you know? So just really, I began to love me with that. And I began to accept that my childhood is my childhood, right? My parents didn't stay together. My mom was a single mom. She struggled. We didn't get the things that we desired. I accepted it. Like, once I just said, okay, this is my childhood. These are my parents. Let me love them for who they are. Let me dig out some good things. My mom, she sacrificed. My mom, she made sure that that was a rule. You do not show the world when you and your siblings are into it.
Yeah.
You fight in this house all you want. Battle all you want. When you walk out this door, you have your siblings back. And I feel like that really helped us, because it's like, I learned that even when this person is wrong, I love you enough to not go out in this world and embarrass you, right? So there's so many things that my parents did do well, right? My dad, he wasn't the best, and he wasn't working with the best. He didn't even know a lot. But one thing I could say is he was there. When we did move back, he was there. He was physically there. Mentally, we're going to pray on him.
We all need work.
But my dad tried, right? He really did try. He tried the best that he knew how. We could say all day, he could have tried harder, maybe, but he tried. He did his part. He did what he could, right? So I just really began to accept my life for what it is. Now that you've accepted, you've become aware. You wrote the letter, you became aware. You accept. You got to accept everything on that letter, because it's done. You can't go back and erase it. So you became aware, you write the letter. Dear Hurt, this happened in 1987. I don't know. Whatever. Just continue to write that letter. You are aware, you accept what's on that letter. And from that point on, now that you've accepted it, how can you heal from it?
Yeah.
How can you heal from each thing one by one? Start with forgiveness. I got to forgive this person. That's the only way I can heal from it. A lot of us don't want to forgive. We don't want to let go of that grudge. We want to continue. It's almost like when you're in a relationship, your partner do something to you. You say you forgive them, but then you keep bringing it up.
Yeah.
You just keep bringing it up. You didn't really forgive.
Right.
You might have thought you forgave, but you didn't heal from it. That's why you keep bringing it up. So you got to forgive and actually begin to take the steps to heal from it. What do you do? Like, a lot of people ask me, how did you heal from it? It took me to just look at me. If I'm looking at my daddy, there's no way I'm healed. I got to look at me. Let me focus on me. Self-love, self-care looks like doing the things that other people might not like, but it's going to blossom and it's going to be working out for your good in the end. And I can go back to my hair. I cut my hair. It was things, that was something that, why would you do that? All that hair, and you going to just cut it all off. Like, so many people ask, but it's turning out for my good because it's healthy now. It's growing out, right?
It's going to grow right back.
It's going to grow right back, right? So it's like setting those boundaries and doing those things that other people may not understand. A lot of people did not understand a lot of things that I did. Like, when I started the tribe and I started having events, everybody was confused on how I had these events with so many women, and I just moved to Atlanta 3 years ago. A lot of people not going to understand.
God
is not for them to understand, right? And that's what I was like, I'm just that person. If I say I'm going to do something, we going to get it done.
Yeah.
So if I said I'm having an event, let's do it. I remember trying to have my first event in St. Louis, and it didn't work out. And it was fear. I let fear cancel that event. I had partnered with a college out there. It was St. Louis Community College. Partnered with them to get the space to be able to have the event. And so I made the flyer. I got the vendors. I got all the people right. A week before the weather started getting bad. Mind you, I had lived in Ohio and Missouri, both very cold places.
Yeah.
And on this day, I let weather stop me. Like, you've been living in snow all this time.
Worst, man.
And and it was fear. And so after that, I had my first event in St. Louis with 2 other girls, and it was about health and wellness and mental health, right? And I actually did it. I did it in the like, you know how apartments and stuff have them little clubhouses?
Yeah,
I did it in the clubhouse of my apartment, and it went very well. When we moved here to Atlanta, it was in COVID, so I didn't start out, but I began to meet women, and I'm like, you know, I have genuine conversations with girls, which lead me to inviting them into the group. So the group began to grow within Atlanta. So when things started to open back up, I'm like, let's do some events. And I started putting events together. And people would just look like, dang, how did you get all those people there? You're not from here. How you know people? And it's genuinely just being who God created me to be.
Yeah.
Like, that's it.
You can't go wrong doing that.
I'm going to be whoever. Like, even before coming in here, I'm in the car. God, speak through me. I want you to speak through me. I don't want Marissa to give no advice. Put in me what you want me to put out into this world. And that's just how I am. And so that's how I continue to see this group grow and flourish. And now working with 5 other women alongside of me who have the same morals, the same integrity, all those things. It feels so good. And I'm so ready for us to launch because we about to take over.
Yeah.
We about to take over. Like, women are about to see, like, you don't have to compete. You don't have to envy each other. We could be in the same room and all win.
And flourish. And it's beautiful that you're trying to curate just a positive environment like that for women to thrive in. Because it's not, like I say, it's not a lot of it out here. Of course, people are doing it, but it's intentionally is wanting better, not just for yourself, but for just everybody else. That's just pure love right there, man.
Yeah.
You can't beat that. But within your events and your tribe, right? So say if somebody did join or they're coming to an event, what can they expect at one of the events, and what do they just pretty much look like from A to Z? So what can somebody say, okay, if you had to break it down to them, what these events look like?
So we always start the event with music and networking. So I have vendors most of the time because I always want to support these vendors so that they can, you know, get their business out. So I always have vendors. In the beginning, we just have a playlist rolling. Women are networking. Just really, like, if you look at a room full of women networking, it's so powerful. Like, when you leave that room, it's not about how many people you talk to. It's just about what relationship you build.
Yeah.
Because you could talk to so many people and leave and not have nobody's social media, nobody number, and you really didn't make a connection. You just came and talked. But I believe at my events, people really find a sister. Like, I can't think of not one event that I haven't heard someone say, I met her at your event. Now we're closest friends. Now that we're watching each other's daughters, or we're car hopping. Like, to see this happening within my events in the tribe, I'm just like, this is what it's about. Like, it's not about, like, I've erased me from it, right? That's why I've teamed up with another group of girls, because I'm like, it's not about me.
Yeah.
I don't care to be the face of it.
Yeah.
I don't care to be the face of it. When we have Zoom calls, I now let other girls that I've seen be in the tribe for the past couple of years and just really evolve. They take over Zoom calls for me. We have Bible study. I got 2 Bible study leaders. We got book club on Mondays. I got one of the girls doing book club. Like, I'm showing women that they are worthy. These girls who thought they didn't have a voice are now leading Zoom calls, right?
Yeah.
So it's like, I'm showing women you're worthy. Like, you create the space for your voice. You create the space for your being. Like, you take up space wherever you want to take up space. So really, like, the event, it starts with networking, women connecting. They're getting each other's numbers. They're taking pictures together. They're eating. I always got food. I'm going to make sure.
Gots to have the food.
The girls eat. I'm going to always make sure the girls eat. And then we open up, of course, with prayer. We welcome everybody in. We probably will have a panel style or a few speakers. And then, like, it's just fun. Like,
Yeah.
I normally have either a mocktail bar. Sometimes I'll have, like, a wine bar or something like that. But just showing women, like, when we get together, it's powerful.
Yeah.
And the speakers they vary. I've had women come and speak about budgeting and finance. I have women come in and speak about, you know, PR, like marketing and things like that. So many different, like, just bringing women in to show them that they have space. I remember my first event that I sold out 97 tickets. I chose women speakers who a lot of people look at the outside of their life and think they're nothing, but deep inside they have so much. Like, we look for this look. Right? I be seeing so much stuff on, like, TikTok, Instagram, like, the biggest scam for women is these positive brunches, but really mean girls are hosting it, right?
I be seeing something about that,
I be seeing those all the time. And it's so cringe because it's like, there are actually events out here for women and it's not mean girl vibes. And tickets are not gouging your pockets. They're $15, right? Like, even if they were higher, it's all about the value you're going to walk out with, right? I don't care how much the ticket is. What am I leaving with? That's what I think about. And that's what, when I curate these events, that's what I'm thinking about. What are these ladies leaving with? Like, what can they take from this event and actually go in their car and start, like, taking action on it, right? And so that's what it's all about. And not all events are with mean girls. And so that's how I choose my speakers. I don't choose the women that just got the Benz or got the social media platform.
The
like
money and
I had to learn like an aesthetically pleasing Instagram. Literally, what does it do? Mm-hmm. It's cute. It'll draw eyes to your page, but like, what does it? Yeah, like what does it really do for you? Like as a person, as like whether you have a brand or not. Of course, like that's another conversation for branding. But in reality, I remember literally making my most money when I was not active on Instagram. Making my most money when I was not active on Instagram. And it was all because I was doing the back end work. I was out here creating the emails and things and sending it out to sponsors. I was out here talking to women in real life and getting my products in their hands. Like hands-on. The hands-on and the actual back end work. Social media has us so twisted that we think if we spend all day on there and make these reels and these 3 posts a day, that we're going to be millionaires by next week.
Cap.
How long you been on Instagram and you still ain't had $1 million? You know, and so I just realized this. So now it's like, okay, now I'm like, we going in the ground. Like we getting our feet dirty, we getting our hands wet, and we getting out here in these streets, and we're really gonna show women that together we can do way more than what we can do alone.
That's what I'm talking about, man. You gotta I'm gonna give you your flowers for doing that because you need more women like you and just people in general to say, hey, it's not about me. I want all of us to thrive. This is just not for a look or for some claps and applause. Right. Like this is for real deal value and healing and lives to progress as human beings, right? So bouquets to you for that, right? So but before we wrap up, right, what I want you to do, again, I got to talk to you earlier. There may be a young woman who's gone through what you're going through, a young guy, whomever, or just somebody who wants to start their own tribe and community, right? So if you can, just give somebody some tips, some motivation, some guidance, or just that they may need to either start their healing journey or to continue to what they're already doing, or just to get up off their butts and say, hey, let me get my tribe together and try to build a community. So what could you say to them to motivate them? And
Absolutely.
You talk to your people.
First things first with your healing journey, like don't seek validation from others. Go straight to the source, right? Whoever your higher power is, mine is Jesus Christ. Whoever your higher power is, go to the source and really lean on God, because God is going to be the person that literally takes you through that journey. When I was going through my healing journey, I had people there, but it's nothing like having God there and you like, I know he gets it. I know he understands me. I read his word. I think of Joseph all the time when I think of my journey, because Joseph went through so much. His brothers envied him. His brothers sold him. He was in prison for something he didn't do. Like his life was literally, I don't see how Joseph was still standing on 2 feet after all he went through, but he pushed through. And in the end, he got the glory. His family got the victory. So I just look at Joseph every time I think of my healing journey, like no matter what it looked like today, it may be blurry. Right? But joy come in the morning, right? So in your morning might not be tomorrow morning, but joy comes in the morning. So you just never know when your joy is going to come. So continue to work. Be transparent with yourself. Like, don't try to live your life the way that social media try to tell you to live it, because you're going to find yourself the most depressed and lost in this world trying to compete with what social media tells you to do. Really just ask God for guidance and really mean it. Like really build that relationship with God and go within, fix within before you can ever fix outward. I realized the more I fix within, the more I begin to shine and flourish on the outside. Like my skin didn't heal and do all these things just because of what I was putting on the outside of my body. It was what I was feeding myself. What music was I listening to? I stopped listening to music that crushed my soul, that made me want to fight, that made me want to cuss somebody out. Like I let go of that type of music, because your eye and ear gate is super important. You got to be careful with what you're allowing in your ear and eye gates. I watched what I was watching. I watched the friendships I was in, the environments I was in. People are like, oh, you're an old woman, you eat sleep. I do. I'm going to go get my rest, okay? I do not want to sit and buy mimosas and cocktails all night with you, because it's not going to serve who I am when I wake up in the morning. So just really making those, those tweaks in your life. And again, not seeking validation. The only validation you need is from yourself and from God. And with those things, you just start your journey. You think about all the things that hurt you. Start forgiving. Start telling yourself who you are. Stop allowing those voices in your head that once were said to you to tell you who you are. Right? You got to start saying, I'm not that. When my sister passed away, the enemy tried to continue to tell me that I wasn't safe when I was driving. I really took it in. Like I was scared to drive after she passed away in a car wreck. I had to begin to speak to the right? That's how I was able to align with the women who are in my community. I didn't align with them for being phony and being somebody on social media and then being somebody else when I click off a live. Just genuinely be you. Even when you're wrong, be you, because that's what is going to help you grow into the person you need to grow in and align with the people God needs you to touch. If I didn't make mistakes, there's no way that those girls would align with me, because it's like, dang, if she perfect, I ain't that. They looking at me like, I can't be perfect like you, so I don't need to be in this community. But it's because I'm so raw and transparent with my life, with my journey, what I'm going through. My girls be knowing like a lot of things. Of course, I secure and I guard the special parts of my life that are safe and secret for me and my family. But for the most part, I'm very transparent with my life, where I'm at. My girls know I still work a 9 to 5. I got a business. I'm still building in different areas. I'm just transparent and real, and that's how I was able to build a community.
You got a fire extinguisher, bro. I think that mic on fire or whatever, boy. Good. No, I love everything you just said, man. It's beautiful. I guarantee whomever may be watching this, whomever may be listening to it, if they really set their ears on it and just rest into it, they can get so much value from that. But so right now, this is your time you got any announcements, what you things you got coming up that you want to share with the people, your audience, your tribe. So go ahead and let them know that. And also let everybody know where to find you at on social media and how they can connect with you. Absolutely.
I have 2 events coming up this month. It's February 24th. They're actually both on the same day. You can find that in the link in my bio at Self Love Marissa. And I have a virtual event coming up the day after, the 25th. And then I'll be in Memphis speaking at a women conference March 16th.
That's dope, man. That's dope. You said social media already, right?
Yep. Self Love Marissa is all my social medias. And also, the tribe is reopening, relaunching, and we'll be starting March 1st.
Let's go. But again, I just want to thank you for pulling up. We had a very candid and beautiful conversation. It was jam-packed with value.
Yes.
I know somebody going to eat from this, man, all day. Again, I got to cool that mic off once you leave, because, man, it was a lot. But if y'all been tuning in and listening so far, I want to say thank y'all for coming back week after week. Again, I am Sir Gates, your host in Here the Podcast. Make sure you go to YouTube and listen to this episode in Here the Podcast. Notification bell, tap that, cut it on, leave a dope comment. Follow me on Instagram at SirGatesBC. That is SirGatesBC. Also, follow the Inherited Podcast on IG, NHERITD Podcast. And until next time, we'll see y'all, man. It was a good episode.